Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so the Miami Heat crush, blow out, destroy, wipe the floor with, and erase the Philadelphia 76ers 120 to 85. There's two ways of looking at the situation. You can look at it from the Miami Heat situation and say they got some home cooking. Everybody who had played poorly on the road came home and played well, as predicted. We saw that coming because that's kind of how things go with these two teams. Their benches just tend to play better when the crowd is rooting for them. And you could look at it from the Philadelphia side of things and just say you feel the uphill battle, the mental fatigue of their circumstances. Um, and that's really what it was for me, just personally watching the game. I felt it early that they feel the fatigue that they're going through. From a mental standpoint, it's like I'm not even a fan and I can feel it. You just look at the situation, you say Joel Embiid is fighting through so much. Their bench is so bad. And their stars' roles are not quite defined. They're not comfortable in their roles from night to night. Some nights they look really good and cohesive, on other nights they don't. I can't really say that Philadelphia had a whole lot of control over their circumstances, because Miami really did push the issue, controlling the glass, pushing them out of the paint completely, and rendering them a jump shooting team. And then on the other side, they didn't really press the issue because they needed Joel Embiid to be more physical, and he just wasn't tonight. And then this is what I told you earlier in the series when he first got the eye injury, that and the hand injury. I was saying, he's going to try to play through this, and I'm sure he's going to. But the mental aspect of it, being able to overcome all that comes with the pain, that's a very special trait. It has nothing to do with will. It has something to do with just having pain tolerance and being able to focus through it and overcome the ailments that come with it to still do what's necessary. You have to be kind of wired a certain way. And I don't believe Joel is wired that way. I give him all the credit in the world for fighting through the pain. He's definitely fighting through the pain. But he's not able to overcome it so that he can push people around, hit all his shots, be as physical defensively, continue to get hit in the face and not be worried about getting hit. That kind of thing. That's a very, very, very unique trait that not many humans have, and you just can't expect Joel Embiid to develop that right now and then sustain it as this continues to be the case. He needs surgery. And so every time he hits the court, you know that it's an uphill battle for him to overcome that. You know they're going to try to attack those two spots on his body. You know he's going to have to overcome a great deal of physical pain and mental anguish and mental hurdles that come with that. It's too much. And then you look back on the season and you just feel even more fatigue because he's carried this team all year long. The Ben Simmons situation and that tug of war nonsense. Ultimately, for them to trade the Ben Simmons for James Harden, who's been solid, but not what they needed. Gave away pieces that they did need, including his backup, and then left him with a bench that can't really help him. Just be real. These guys they're not that great. And so the starters are cool, right? They're good starters. I like their starting unit. But you gotta find things on that bench and in that lineup that they just haven't been able to find. Your George Niang's not good enough. I'm sorry. Shake Milton, nah. Matisse Thybulle, it's a fantastic defensive player, but you don't trust him offensively, and because they don't trust him offensively, they don't get the most out of him. They don't use him properly, so he's rendered obsolete. You go like Danny Green. On a night like tonight, you want Danny Green to shoot 7 and 8 threes. These last two games, he's been jacking up shots. Either he make them, he don't. He went 2 for 4. Buddy, you're 50%. Why are you only shooting 4 shots? Like, these are the type of things that happen, and you shake your head because if this game was at Philly, he'd have been jacking up threes all over the arena. So that's just what's really frustrating about just the team itself. They fight hard. They have heart. But they just aren't overly talented from top to bottom. And sometimes you find that they just don't show up on the road. What they needed, it was for everybody to make up for what Joel wasn't doing. You needed extra boxing out. You need extra aggression. You need them to force the issue trying to drive into the paint. You needed efficiency from behind the arc. You need guys crashing the glass, and you just didn't see none of that. What you saw was a bunch of body language that reflected the same things that I've been talking about for the last 5 minutes. The mental fatigue, the frustration, and the uphill battle that just feels like it's impossible. And the road behind them, it just feels like it's been going on forever. And then you think about the MVP situation where, Joel had done all of this and still ultimately didn't get the MVP. And you know how bad he wanted it. You know all what he's fighting through right now. So it's just like the mental fatigue of that too. Just knowing that he did that disappointment, he wasn't, if they would have gave him that MVP, I'm pretty sure he probably would have went off for at least 25, 26 points. But, that plays a part too. It's too much. That's what it is. It's too much. Especially when Miami is just as wishy-washy as you and happens to have a game at home, so not everybody want to play well. Like, they annoying as heck, man. Miami is an annoying team because they have the ability to do anything they want. They got shooters on their bench. They got role players that can play extremely well at high level. They got superstars that can close. They got bigs that can do all kinds of stuff. But when you watch them play, the players they rely upon are guys that are on the back of their bench that are hardly making no money, but play really hard for them and really tough. And sometimes those guys play well, and when they do, the consistency of a Jimmy Butler on D and offensively as well, Jimmy all over. And then, when Tyler Hero gets going, they're just an impossible team to beat. But they have a lot of flaws. They're not particularly fun to watch. They don't particularly have an inside presence. Their shooters aren't particularly consistent. They have a lot of guards. They overload on stars in the same position. Like, it's a lot of stuff with the Miami Heat that just irks me, to where damn well it's a good chance they're going to come out in Philadelphia, probably get blown out the same way Miami just did right now. I mean, the way Philly just did right now. It's like, that's how they are too. They're going to go on the road, and they're not going to be able to hit shots. They're not going to crash the glass as much. They're not going to be as aggressive. It's only going to be Jimmy shooting. They're probably going to have like 15 assists as a team. And it's just like, how come both of these two teams can't just carry their games on the road? These are the same two squads. Y'all can't play well on the road. So that's what just frustrated me. Overall, the Miami Heat played a great game tonight, and everyone scored. All players, all of them scored the ball tonight. So you could say Philly's defense literally stopped no one. Tyrese Maxey was rendered a jump shooter, teardropper. He couldn't get into the lane to save his life. I would have liked to seen him press the issue a little more, take on a little more contact, force yourself to the rim. But he was settling a lot and just not very aggressive tonight. And that's the problem. You want him to step out and be the number two, but you also understand he's very young. And some nights he ain't gonna be up for it. And then you look over at James Harden, and he's, in the first half, I liked the pace that he was playing with. I liked the slowness, the way that he took his time into his motions and his moves. I felt like that's probably the way to go for him. He's used to being able to do it at a certain pace, especially when he was with Houston. All those little moves had a certain rhythm to him. Pop, 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 pop. Well, what he seems to have done is taken those same moves and slowed them down a bit to kind of work into his situation a bit more balanced. And I think over time, that's going to help him get used to his newfound body, kind of having slowed down a little bit. So I like what I saw from him in terms of his own personal progression of where he's going to be headed probably for the rest of these playoffs and into the next season. But, what you needed from James Harden earlier in this game was to make sure Tyrese Maxey was fully engaged. And I think he did a bit more trying to see if he was still hot from the previous game. He was doing a lot more of that. And I just thought it was the wrong approach, especially given all that we discussing with the uphill battle and all that. It was on James Harden, the facilitator, to connect everybody today. When nobody seems to have it going, he needs to be making sure they do. And I just didn't see that. It was me ball time. I need to get and that's not what, as I told you guys, that's not what ultimately opened up things for him to have the fourth quarter that he had in game 4. What opened that up was getting everybody involved, making sure they were hitting shots. And then in the fourth quarter, when they were basically paying attention to everybody but you were able to go off and do everything that you did. You didn't set yourself up that way today. did the complete opposite. So that's how that goes. Um, I like what I saw from Bam Adebayo. He played well, got on the boards, did some good things. I want to give a shout out to Paul Reed because I think he was literally the only person on the Philadelphia 76ers that could probably be pleased with their performance tonight. Looking at the box score, he was the only person that could be confused with playing well. Like literally, it was a bad night for all of anybody wearing navy blue tonight had an awful basketball game. Both sides of the floor, and it showed in the stats and the plus minuses. It was awful. Definitely parity there. It just name them. They were bad or didn't do enough. It's one or the other. And I look at Paul Reed and I say I like them defensive stats. Simple as that. You look at him and you see he did something everywhere. So he's the only one to do it. Other than that, man, I tell you, this is definitely a burn the tape situation. Obviously, Philadelphia's playing for their life. Coming into a situation, like I said, I don't think Miami's road guys they're not going to play well on the road. They're not. But that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to lose. Philadelphia looks dejected. They look like they're tired, man. They look like they're exhausted. I'm not sure if they're going to mail it in or not. I don't know, because they've been very unpredictable in these playoffs, to say the least. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't lean one way or another. If anything, it's a brand new game. Truly. In this series, yeah, it's a brand new game. Philly's they're gonna have to tweak their roster, man. It's not even about what they're not doing necessarily. It's such an uphill battle because they have so little to work with. It's really that simple. Trading away Andre Drummond was the worst part of it because you don't have a legitimate backup for Joel. So on nights like these where you would love to buy him a game, if you look at what Boston's been able to do with Marcus Smart and his injury, what they've been able to do with Robert Williams and his injury, yeah, Philly doesn't have that luxury. That's where they really are getting the worst hand here. It starts with the decisions that Morey made to leave them with what they have in this offseason. I mean, in these playoffs, there should have been more activity done in the buyout market. Period. They should have picked themselves up a center, and probably should have picked themselves up another swing man of some sort. So yeah, Daryl Morey. That's it. That's on him, man. I don't really blame the players for what I saw tonight. I don't. They just have too much going against them, and Miami was playing extremely well, and dominated every facet of basketball. Miami found their 3-point shot tonight. That's what it was. You find efficiency with all of their players. You look at most of the players that they ran tonight, and you are pleased with their progress. They hit the glass. They played defense. They were mindful to make good possessions out of everything that they did, and took advantage of a team that just didn't have it tonight. Just they pushed them around. They were physical with Philadelphia, and Philadelphia did not return that physicality tonight. I thought Philadelphia played very soft on the defensive end. Maybe they were dejected by all that we were talking about. Maybe they just, Joel Embiid's a big guy on the floor. He was the one tasked with kind of doing all that pushing, and he was alien. So I think that was what we saw. A lot of that was him not being able to do it like that. But he just needed more from Tobias Harris tonight. He needed to pick it up. Like I said, Tyrese Maxey just nah, that was an unacceptable performance in a game where you have a pivotal Game 5 on hand. Even though it's on the road, you just got this team a couple times. They've been struggling. There's no way you should have got beat this bad tonight. No way. Even with everything that we've talked about, you still got to put up a better performance for yourself. So you just got to respect yourself better than to let yourself get blown out like this. And to just everybody play poorly. Like everybody. Like, I said to myself at the beginning of this, you watch my video, where I'm going. I said Miami Heat would have to prove to me that they could play well on the road and make the adjustments necessary, because I hadn't seen it through 2 games. And if they showed me something, I would believe in them, because as I hadn't. Well, right now, that's what I feel about Philadelphia. Philadelphia is fighting for their lives, but what I saw tonight tells me that they probably don't have a whole lot left. Um, and that's just it. That's just what I see. They look like most teams in situations like this probably going home now. It's just too much, you know. It's literally too much. Once Joel Embiid got hit in the face again, uh, that was that was when I realized that this is just going to be too much for them. So we'll see what happens in Game 6, man. But it's all Miami's to take, you know. Unless Miami does things wrong, like just completely wrong, they should be able to push this team around again. Um, I mean, maybe they have some fight. Maybe they come out and play with a lot of heart. Who knows? Like I said, this team is unpredictable, but Miami Miami found what they needed to do tonight. They did all of the things that I said they need to do: hit their threes, get their rebounds, play better defense, guard the perimeter. You know, obviously render Tyrese Maxey and Tobias Harris useless if possible. You know, defensively, take advantage of Joel Embiid's injuries, put something on his mind, which they obviously did, and you know they checked every box. They took care of business. Played Duncan Robinson, even though he didn't do a whole lot. Putting him on the floor did stretch the floor. He did hit a three. That did make a difference. And as I told you guys also at the halftime video, and I think in the pregame as well, removing Kyle Lowry from this series has been a good thing. It puts the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands a bit more. It gives them a bit more cohesiveness, given the fact that he's been cold and not really himself out there, ailing himself, you know, with the injuries. They're just a better team without him hobbling around and breaking shots. Simple as that. So until he gets to be 100% healthy, I think they should continue sitting him for the rest of the series, because in the games that they've played him, they've lost. In the games that they've set him, they've won. That ain't a coincidence. It's not. So that's pretty much the end of that. I'm going to get to watching the next game and, of course, get back to you guys on that. But disappointed isn't quite the word. Just tired. Tired is what Philadelphia did to this fan here. You just think about their entire situation and you just know it's going to take a Kobe-like mind and some hellacious, intense focus to overcome what Philadelphia just let happen to themselves tonight. That's pretty much it. BDO 44. I thank you all for watching. I'm out.